A very happy good luck and high five, viewers. For our last video review of the year, we've chosen one of our favorites. Cascadia, developed by Flatout Games and designer Randy Flynn, and distributed by Alderac, is a game that registered very early on for me, and I backed it on Kickstarter for two reasons. One, Beth Sobel's illustrations are almost always our instabacks for me, and secondly, because as we said in the past, Flatout Games only makes bangers. I hope that trend would continue here. Cascadia is a tile-laying and drafting game as you work to build the best individual biome for your welcomed furry friends. Let's get in the box and I'll show you some more Purple Mountain's majesty. Past the outstanding cover art here, we'll find our rulebook, which doesn't skimp on the examples and even provides a page in the back dedicated to the creatures of Cascadia and their habitats. Setting that aside, we'll find a very disappointing double channel design, housing the game's cloth drawstring bag. Inside this are the wooden wildlife tokens featuring all 5 of the game's animals. This giant provided baggie is plenty large enough to contain the game's habitat tiles, and there's another bag for the starting habitat tiles and wildlife scoring cards. In a smaller channel, we'll find a score pad and the nature tokens, though that's really just academic. There's no reason this couldn't have been just a single channel design, and in fact, I kinda wish it had been. At the very least, it would have avoided this weird folding issue with the divider. Let's set this up and I'll show you how to make the best of a rather inauspicious beginning. The goal of the game. The object of Cascadia is to assemble drafted habitat tiles and wildlife tokens such that the animals themselves are given their desired criteria from the scoring cards. Each animal wants to live in a specific way, so the challenge is to coordinate everyone together harmoniously. The better you give an animal what they want, the more points you'll score. Additional but fewer points will be given based on how well you group the habitats themselves. Putting all of your rivers, wetlands, forests, prairies, and mountains together provide points themselves as well as bonus points for the player with the largest assemblage of each. But how do you do that, you ask? Well, what kind of guide would I be if I didn't tell you now? To begin, each player is randomly given a starter habitat tile, which becomes the basis for their individual biome. You will remove some number of tiles based on player count, also randomly, and the rest go into a stack face down on the table. Continuing our random setup theme, you'll choose one scoring card for each wildlife in the game, laying them out face up. If this is your first game, you can use all 4 A cards if you want to ease your way in. Flip up 4 habitat tiles to form the drafting area, and next to each one, add a randomly chosen wildlife token. Setup's done, and it's time to get into some light terraforming. On your turn, you'll choose one of the available combinations of tiles and tokens, adding them to your personal environment. You'll want to, but are not obligated to, add like habitats together, remembering that contiguous habitats together score more points. What you are obligated to do, however, is put the tile next to an existing one. No creating new worlds to conquer later. Each tile shows the animals which are allowed to live there in the middle. When placing, you don't have to add the animal to the tile you drafted with it. It can go anywhere as long as the habitat is currently empty and shows that animal in the center. If you drafted an animal you can't place, well, make better choices next time. But for now, you'll be forced to put that animal back into the bag. They don't want to live where they're not welcome. When that's done, draw a new tile from the stack and place a new animal token next to it. That's it. That's the entire game. Pass the turn to the next player and take solace in the fact that you're going to get to do that 19 more times exactly. Cascadia becomes an exercise in making the best of what you've got. And if the Rolling Stones taught us anything, it's that what you want is not always available. I forget the exact phrasing. Making do with the limited possibilities may feel like Flatout is dipping back into the calico well, but Cascadia is far more forgiving. There's plenty of time to set up for future turns as you build your individual habitat in front of you, and the ability to use the nature tokens to massage your drafts a little is incredibly helpful. The simple pick up and place nature of the actual gameplay combined with an almost serene table presence elevates this game to a zen-like experience. Analysis paralysis players don't have a ton to chew on, and its scores are often tight as it's nearly impossible to create a perfect home for all 5 animals. Generally, you'll focus on 3, maybe 4. Another design element that I really enjoyed about Cascadia was that each player is building their own biome. It would have been a completely different game to have all the players building the forest in front of them, and while I'm normally hesitant about games with little to no player interaction, I personally feel that Cascadia doesn't need it. This becomes a game about dealing with limited resources and trying to make it all work under the time and pressure of a table draft. Where Calico makes you sweat being able to use any of the available tiles in your hand, there's always a place to play one of these. And while it may not be your ideal, whatever is. Is there anything that doesn't work about Cascadia? Some of what I've highlighted above as things I enjoy might be turnoffs for other gamers. It's true, this is an up to 4-player game with no interaction apart from resource denial, which I always maintain isn't actually interaction. You're competing with the other players, but in a very peaceful and almost cooperative way. Like the world of nature Cascadia tries to emulate, there's a limited amount of natural resources, and we all need to find a way to make it work. While that's getting a little Sarah McLachlan talking over sad puppies, the point remains. Cascadia presents a very specific style of game, and no amount of table presence or quick gameplay is going to overcome that if you're opposed from the beginning. If you're the type of player who needs to be able to chart their perfect course through a game, you're forgiven for passing this one by. For the rest of us, this is just another title that proves simple, clean game design that can get out of its own way will earn a spot on my shelf every time. Cascadia, possible spoiler, is a phenomenal drafting game whose only flaw I can genuinely claim is that I wish I could put more people at the table with it. I suppose if we wanted to get really picky, I could ask for more Beth Sobel art, as the scoring cards are just the same 2 images flipped, but we're above such petty gripes, are we not? Sure we are. Let's go through our checklist before I give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. The 15-page rulebook is beautifully laid out and teaches with examples not only the standard game mode, but also goes through solo mode, variants, achievements, and even manages a full page of wildlife info on all the game's animals. It uses second-person you and yours pronouns throughout. Iconography clear. There's no in-game iconography apart from the animals themselves, which are easy to distinguish from each other. While some of the more, shall we say, intricate groupings can be a little convoluted, the cards do a good job of making your goals clear, and when that's not enough, the rulebook goes into even more detail. Packaging well done. Not especially. We've been given a slightly modified dual-channel box design here, and it's the only thing about the components I wish would go extinct. These inserts are nearly always uniformly bad, and jamming the score pad into the narrow channel alongside the nature tokens is disappointing. Better to just remove the insert and let everything hang out in the provided baggies. I know, sacrilege coming from me. On the table. Good representation. The complete lack of humans brings an almost serene feeling to the proceedings. Of the 5 animals in the box, we do have a good mix of 3 mammals and 2 egg-laying creatures, a bird and a fish, respectively. Component quality. The wooden animal discs are great and can easily be stored in the provided cloth drawstring bag. The tiles are standard punch but should last a long time. The nature tokens could have used an upgrade, either wood or 3D sculpts, but the cost-effective cardboard is just fine. I've already talked about the box insert, so no need to belabor that point. Replay value, very high. Setting aside the bonus Kickstarter promos, there are 4 scoring cards for each animal, and they don't have to be used in their respective letter sets. These, on top of the random drafting combinations of tiles and animals, should provide plenty to work through as you bring this one back to the table again and again. Fun to lose. It is, yes, since scoring across all 5 animals means that you're definitely going to have to sacrifice the ideal placement on at least 1, if not 2 or 3 of them. You often don't know if you're behind or ahead until scores are tallied. Using the nature tokens lets you make the best of a bad draft board, so there's plenty of reasons to assume that even if you feel like you're not doing well, there's promise ahead. Additionally, with games clocking in right at the box estimate of 30 to 45 minutes, even if you somehow manage to have an awful game, it won't last long. Cascadia continues Flatout Games' unreasonably hot streak and does so with only a few minor quibbles. It's tense, thematic, plays quickly, and rewards good decision-making and risk-taking. Doing all of that and being pretty to look at besides? Well, boy howdy. If games like 7 Wonders or Quadropolis are your habitat, you'll find a lovely home here in Randy Flynn's design. I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. Hey everyone, if you liked our video, please hit that sub button and ring the bell for notifications. Check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com, and please consider becoming a patron of the channel over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. It helps us keep making videos, reviews, and podcasts. You can become a member for any dollar amount. We're also always looking for new games to review. You can reach me at glhfnicholas@gmail.com. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, at Captain NGM on Twitter and Instagram, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck. High five.